I am an ordinary literature teacher at secondary school number 11. At least I was, until everything went to hell. My name is Nikolai Grigorievich Melnikov. I am 42 years old, a widower. I have no children, but I do have students. In their eyes, I am quiet, a little strange but fair. They laugh that I still write by hand and read paper books. They do not know why I sit every evening with a notebook, gray, shabby, with a faded cover. This is my diary. I started keeping it after my wife died. Then I had my first dream, too real to be just a dream. September 6th. Dream. A man in a blue suit leaves a cafe, talking on the phone. Behind him is a silhouette in a hood, one stab in the neck. The man falls, screams and panic all around. I wake up in a cold sweat. 3:42. I wrote it down, as I wrote down every strange dream. At that time, I didn't know that it wasn't just an unconscious fantasy. On the morning of September 9th, the police called me. The voice was dry and official. Nikolai Grigorievich, did you know Anatoly Boyarsky? Boyarsky, a parent of one of the students. Yes, I knew him. I saw him a couple of times at meetings. A serious man, smart, always in a suit. Yes, what happened? He was killed 3 days ago, near a cafe, on the corner of Lesnaya and Pervomaiskaya. There are cameras, attack from behind, one stab. I almost dropped the phone. It was that same dream, that same suit, that same corner. I even knew what time it was. 3:42. Only then was it just a dream. Or not just. I didn't tell the police about the diary. I thought it was a coincidence. But coincidences don't happen again. Not 3 times in a row. Next entry, September 11th. Dream. A girl is walking on a bridge. Someone is talking to her, supposedly her mother, but her face is blurry. The girl falls down. The body is in the river. September 14th. News on the internet. A schoolgirl's body was found near the bridge on Sverdlov Street. The investigation is considering the suicide version. This is no longer a coincidence. This is a pattern. I did not sleep. I became afraid to close my eyes. Every dream now seemed like a death sentence to me, as if someone was using me as a receiver, a transmitter of death, a damn medium. I wrote everything down again. Names, colors, streets, rustles. Once I even smelled blood. September 18th. Dream. A man in uniform, standing in the entryway. Someone coming from behind. The sound of a gunshot. A shot to the back of the head. Blood on the wall. September 20th. A patrol policeman was killed on Shakhtursky Prospect. The body was found in the entryway of building number 17. A bullet to the back of the head. I couldn't keep quiet any longer. I went to the police. I brought the diary. Not all of it, just part of it. 3 entries. Their faces turned pale. The investigator looked at me for a minute. Then he asked, "Why did you come only now?" I didn't answer. How can I explain that I didn't want to believe it? That I hoped it would pass? They kept me at the station until late in the evening. Then they let me go. But the next day, 2 people came to my home, in civilian clothes, without warrants. "Give us the diary, the whole thing." I refused. They threatened. They said that if I predicted a murder even once more and kept quiet, I would go to jail as an accomplice. They didn't believe me, or they believed me too much. That's when the nightmare began, because the next dream was about me. September 22nd. Dream. A black car. Someone grabs me as I'm leaving school. A bag over my head. A scream. Emptiness. That day, I didn't go to work. I locked myself in the house. I turned off the lights, bolts, chains, curtains. I waited. At 4:12 p.m., a black car stopped at my entrance. I hid behind the curtain and watched as 2 people got out of the car. One was bald with a broad neck and a military bearing. The other was shorter, his face hidden under a hood. They stood there looking at the windows, then entered the entrance. A second later, the intercom rang. I didn't answer. They started knocking on the door, first politely, then louder, then with fists. Someone was whispering behind the door, "We're just talking. It's for your own safety." I didn't believe it. I retreated to the bedroom, holding an old hammer in my hand. Not a weapon, but at least something. The whispering behind the door stopped. I thought they were gone. Only half an hour later, I opened the peephole. There was a piece of paper on the rug. It was blank, but underneath someone had written in black ink, "You're part of this too. Hide deeper or die first." I threw the sheet away as if I had been burned. My hands were shaking. No one else called. No one came. I couldn't sleep that night, but the dream came anyway. September 23rd. Dream, a room, concrete walls, a lonely lamp. I'm tied up. A man in a black mask says, "You open the door, but you haven't closed a single one." In the morning, I collected everything: diaries, notes, flash drives, copies of dreams. I stuffed them into a backpack and went to the only person I could still trust: my childhood friend, Oleg. He worked as an archivist at the local library. Calm, unsociable, perfect for secrets. Oleg let me in silently. I dumped the papers on the table. He read 3 entries, then stood up and poured himself some vodka. "Do you understand that these are no longer just coincidences?" he asked. "I understand, but I don't know how to stop this." He looked at the ceiling. "You're not writing down your dreams, Cole. You're writing down orders." "Whose? That's the question." I was dumbfounded. "What do you mean?" He took out an old book, worn in a leather binding. He opened it to the right page. There was a drawing, a man lying on a bed from whose head a thread was stretching upward. At the other end, a silhouette in a hood, holding the thread like a puppet. It's an ancient legend. They say there are creatures that can invade people's consciousness in their dreams. They don't just show, they choose. Those who will see, those who will write, and then everything happens, according to plan, as if you're just a scribe for someone stronger. This, this is nonsense. And your notes? I didn't know what to answer. That same night, I had another dream. This time, not someone's murder. My own end. September 24th. Dream. I stand in front of a mirror. The face is not mine. It changes. In the reflection, I see figures behind. Someone whispers, "You're already dead. You just don't know it." I woke up screaming. Oleg was sleeping on the floor in the library. He turned on the light, looking at me with fear. "What did you see?" "Myself, just not myself." He thought for a moment, then nodded. "We'll go. There's one man. He lived in a monastery, then disappeared. They called him Interpreter. He deciphered dreams. But he said that some dreams cannot be interpreted. Otherwise, they come to life. We found him outside the city in a half-ruined house. He looked like a shadow. His eyes were pale without shine. He listened to us silently, then asked for my diary. He turned the pages slowly, as if each page burned his fingers. "These are not predictions," he finally said. "This is a map. It comes with a key, and you are one of those who keep it." "What do you mean, key?" "It's not an object. It is you. Your brain, your fear. Everything that makes you vulnerable. They came through the crack. You are the crack." I did not understand. But at that moment, I understood something else. Everything had gone too far. The next night, the diary disappeared, right from the bag, without a trace. Neither I nor Oleg nor the interpreter had it. It simply disappeared, along with it, and the dreams. For several days, I did not see anything, absolute emptiness. And then the waking visions began. I stood in line at the store and saw a woman being stabbed at the entrance, but everything was fine. Then again, a man walking across a bridge, jumping into the water. But no one was jumping. They were dreams, but with my eyes open. I began to lose my bearings. Where am I? Here, or already in someone's head? Oleg noticed first. "You're talking in your sleep," he said one morning. "You're speaking a language I don't know. I'm not even sure it's a language at all." I didn't believe it until he put the recorder down and turned on the recording. There was a voice on the tape, my voice, but it was distorted, grinding, unnaturally fast. You couldn't make out the words, just the repeating, "The door is open, the gate is broken, time has started." We listened to the recording in complete silence. Oleg turned off the recorder and said, "You don't dream anymore, because now you're a dream for someone else." I didn't understand, but inside there was a creepy feeling growing, as if something had already settled inside me, and it seemed like this something was going to stay. That same night, I started having memory lapses. I woke up in unfamiliar places, on a bench near the train station, on the roof of a school, once even in an empty hangar. No signs of a break-in, no records on my phone, just me, thoughts torn to shreds and the same symbol drawn in chalk, a circle crossed by two vertical lines. I started looking for him, in books, in archives, on the internet, but I only found a mention in an old banned publication about dream traps. It talked about some ancient sect that believed that dreams were channels between worlds, and if you could rewrite enough dreams, you would open a door, a gate, and then they would pass. Who they were was not said, but with each passing day I felt them closer. Shadows in the corner, figures behind the glass, faces alien, dead, reflected in the screen when I looked at the turned-off TV. And one day I saw them in person. It was in the morning, a normal school day. I walked into the classroom and froze. All the students were sitting perfectly straight. No one was talking. No one was moving. They were just looking at me at the same time, without blinking. "Good morning," I muttered. And then they said a phrase, all at once, in chorus, monotonously. "The gates are open." I dropped the folder. One of the students, Dima, a quiet boy from the back row, stood up. His face was strange, the face of an adult, and his voice was not his. "You have written enough, Nikolai Grigorievich. Now, the last entry." I ran away. I abandoned everything. School, documents, phone. Oleg helped me hide in the village, where there was no connection. But even there, I was not safe. I did not sleep anymore. Sleeping pills did not help. Injections did not work. Dreams came even with my eyes open. I sat by the window watching the sun rise, and in the reflection of the glass, I saw only night. Wherever I was, I remained inside a nightmare. And one day I woke up again, in the same concrete room that I had seen before. Everything was like in a dream. A lonely lamp, cracked walls, and in front of me, a man in a mask. The same one, black, without holes. He put the notebook in front of me. The same one, my diary. "You'll finish writing the last page." "And then what?" I asked. "Will it all end?" He leaned over. His voice was ingratiating, emotionless. "Non badu." "Then it will all begin." I woke up in my bed, with the diary on my chest. The last page was blank, but at the bottom, an inscription, in hand, not mine. "Your story is not yours. You just wrote it down. Now someone else will write it." I burned the diary, or thought I did, because in the morning it was lying on the windowsill again. Open, clean, ready for new dreams. Since then, I have not written down anything, I am afraid. I live like a shadow. But they are still there. They are watching. Sometimes children on the street look at me the same way they did in class. Sometimes I hear a phrase out of nowhere. The gates are open. And I know this is only the beginning. A few weeks passed. I thought that they would leave me alone, that I might have managed to escape. But every day I woke up with the feeling that something was wrong, as if the world I live in had become slightly distorted and I could no longer trust my eyes. I saw things that I could not explain. One day, walking down the hallway, I noticed a shadow that was moving irregularly. It did not follow me like a normal shadow. No, it stayed in place, but after a moment it began to move by inertia, as if someone needed it to watch my every step. I tried to distract myself, immersing myself in books, in the history of dreams, in various myths, trying to find at least some explanation. All my efforts fell on a wall of fog. I reread old entries in the diary over and over again, but each time the text became more and more distorted. Even my hand led the pen, but not my thoughts. It was no longer me. One night I woke up from a strange sensation. My breathing was heavy, cold, but the cold did not come from the window, not from the icy walls. I felt something unnatural pulling air inside me, through my throat, through my lungs, filling me with something alien, restless. I tried to get up, but my legs did not obey. At that moment, I realized that I was no longer in control of my body. My eyes closed on their own. But before plunging into darkness, I saw them. A multitude of dark figures huddled in the corner of the room. They did not move. They didn't make a sound. They just stood there, hidden in the shadows as if they were waiting for me to notice them. "You wrote down too much," one of them said. I couldn't tell who it was, but the voice sounded like darkness, deep and lifeless. It spoke as if it knew my every move, my every step, my every word. "You've become part of this world. You won't leave. You can't leave." I let out a strangled cry, trying to fight what was happening, but everything was starting to blur before my eyes. I woke up in a different place. There was nothing familiar about it. I was lying on a cold stone floor. A dim light was burning in the corner. This wasn't a room. It was something that could be called a trap. One wall was covered in black writing, like claw marks. I stood up and walked over to them. The words blurred as if they were written in a liquid that would not dry. "Everything is a dream. You are nothing." I turned to look for a way out, but when I looked in the mirror, I could no longer see myself. My face was hidden, and instead of a reflection, there was something misty, flickering like a stream. Water pierced by fire. In this reflection, I stood with my eyes closed, but I was not myself. Someone else was controlling me. Suddenly, a man in a black mask appeared in front of me. He walked towards my reflection in the mirror, not moving physically. He was not alive. He was part of what I had recorded. His footsteps were heard in everything that surrounded me. He looked at me and said with a grin, "Did you understand that you will not be able to leave when the doors open?" The moment he said these words, something inside me squeezed. I did not know what it meant, but I felt a strange pressure growing in my head, unbearable, as if the mind was being squeezed, like in a bottle, where it was left. And in that moment, I understood. I was not just a victim. I was the one who created this nightmare. I became the key that opens the gates. But I couldn't stop. I started to feel this world falling apart, hearing echoes of the past and the future, as if I were walking along a line that connected my dreams with reality. But one thing remained constant. They were here. All those who looked at me, waiting, pushing, filling my head with thoughts. And then they said to me, "You're already dead. You just don't understand it yet." I didn't sleep that night. I couldn't. With each passing day, it got worse. Every time I tried to distract myself or forget, I felt their presence, like an icy touch on my skin. They were near. I didn't know what exactly they wanted, but I already realized that there was nothing left of me. I was just their game, their puppet, and they played with me like an old toy. I couldn't find sleep that night. I sat in the dark, looking out the window, waiting for something. Time stretched out like a rubber band, and I wasn't sure how much time had passed. The night seemed like an eternity. Suddenly, I heard a knock. The same knock I'd heard in my nightmares, a door. Someone had come. I walked slowly to the door, my hands shaking, my heart pounding in my chest. When I opened it, I saw no one. But on the floor, just like in my dreams, was that same mark, a circle crossed by two vertical lines. That mark had been scratched into the floor. It had been left by someone or something. I stepped into the hallway, and immediately the lights in the apartment went out. Total darkness. I turned to the wall, feeling the hair on the back of my neck stand on end. And then I saw him, a figure in a black mask. He stood at the end of the hallway, motionless, as if waiting for me. His eyes were empty, lifeless. I couldn't understand what it was, but I knew that this moment had long been predicted. This figure was not human. This was the end, my reflection in this world. "Do you want to know what happens next?" His voice was dull and low, like an echo. I couldn't answer. I tried to move, but my legs wouldn't obey. Fear paralyzed me. He took a step forward. I felt the air around me grow colder, as reality itself began to warp. With each of his movements, the space around me was losing shape, becoming stranger and stranger. I could see the walls starting to disappear, and other spaces were appearing in their place, spaces that couldn't exist in the normal world. He came up to me and whispered, "You've become part of what you wrote down, but you don't have to be afraid of it. You're theirs now." I tried to scream, but the sound stuck in my throat. I felt something changing inside me, like I was becoming not myself, but something much bigger. Something old and terrible, something that had been there from the very beginning. And then, as if by magic, everything disappeared. The hallway disappeared, the room disappeared, and I found myself in emptiness, in complete nothingness. Just me and the sounds coming from somewhere far away. "You forgot one thing," the same voice said. "You can't get out of here, because you're part of this game now." The light went out, and there was nothing else. Only silence. And here's what I realized. I didn't just disappear. I became part of their world, the one you can't escape from, the one where I was just a game. But now I was a player, a pawn, and a victim. And someone else would sit in my chair, writing down when it all started again. And somewhere far away, in this endless emptiness, I heard, "The gates are open." And then I realized I will never get out, and no one will.